All right, today we're going to jump into the time machine and look back at a really pivotal moment in database history. We're talking about the arrival of the Exadata X7 and what it meant for the whole idea of an autonomous database.
So let's just start with the big question, the one that really frames this whole story. What if a database could actually think for itself? What if it could manage, secure, and even tune itself without a human touching it? This single question, this was a spark for a massive leap forward in technology.
Okay, so to really get the impact of this, you got to understand what the database world was like right before 2018. For years, years, the entire industry was obsessed with pretty much one thing. And boom, this slide just lays it all out, right? On the one hand, the old goal was just performance. That's it. Faster, faster, faster. How many transactions per second can we push? But by 2018, things were changing. The market's demands got a whole lot more sophisticated. We're talking about a world where data breaches were becoming front-page news, systems were getting insanely complex, and suddenly, just being fast wasn't going to cut it anymore. Enterprises needed security and intelligence baked right in. So you have this new demand for a system that's not just fast, but also secure and smart. Well, that called for a totally new kind of machine. And that brings us right to the catalyst for this whole shift. And here it is. The story really kicks off right here, in 2018, with the launch of the Exadata X7. And you have to understand, this wasn't just another dot release with a few small tweaks. No way. This was a complete, fundamental rethinking of what an engineered system could and should be. So what was the big deal with the X7? What did it actually bring to the table? Well, this gives you a great snapshot. First off, you had transparent data encryption running at hardware speed. That's huge. Then it introduced machine learning to actually predict workloads. It got way better at handling different kinds of work at the same time, your everyday transactions or OLTP, and those heavy-duty analytics jobs. But the real key here, each one of these things wasn't just a cool feature. They were all building blocks, pieces of a much bigger puzzle, the autonomous database vision. Okay, so we've seen what the X7 did, but for me, the really cool part is how it pulled it off. How did it make that jump from just being fast to being genuinely smart? Well, it all boiled down to two massive technological advancements. First up, security. This was a total game changer. We're not talking about some clunky, slow software layer you slap on top. No, the X7 baked transparent data encryption right into the hardware itself. What does that mean? It means you get Fort Knox-level security with zero performance penalty. All of a sudden, security wasn't an afterthought. It was a native, high-speed feature. You no longer had to choose between being fast and being safe. You could be both. And the second piece of this puzzle was just as mind-blowing. For the very first time, machine learning algorithms weren't just something data scientists used. They were embedded right inside the system. The database itself could now watch its own usage, predict what was coming next, and start to automatically tune itself. This was the moment the machine started to wake up, really. It was the first real step towards self-management. Which brings us to this quote, and honestly, this just nails it. The story of the X7 wasn't about slightly faster chips or bigger memory. It had that too, but that wasn't the point. The real drama, the thing that changed everything, was the intelligence. So this new intelligence, it did more than just make the system smarter on paper. It had this profound knock-on effect. It was literally the dawn of a whole new era in how we manage databases. And this chart just lays out that whole journey perfectly. You start with a really powerful, engineered system. Then, with the X7, you inject that critical layer of embedded intelligence. And what does that get you? It gets you a system that can start to tune itself and secure itself. And that, right there, is the path to a truly autonomous platform. The X7 was the bridge. It was the crucial link that connected the old world to the new. So think about what this meant for the people on the ground, the DBAs. Imagine you've spent your entire career meticulously, manually tuning queries, and then one day, you're watching the machine do it for you, and honestly, probably doing it better and faster, without the risk of human error. Your entire job starts to shift because, well, the machine is now the tuner. And really, it all leads to this, a massive paradigm shift. It stopped being a conversation just about hardware and software working together. It was now about hardware, security, and intelligence, all woven together so tightly that you had to think about it differently. The real revolution was about one thing, learning to trust the machine. And so that leaves us with this final thought to chew on. When the machine takes over the really hard stuff, the securing, the tuning, what's left? What becomes the new frontier? Not just for data management, but for all the people who build and create on top of these incredible platforms.